Hi, my name is Nick, and in today's video I'm going to be taking a first look at this Litepro S9 TriFold folding bike. Ordered directly from Litepro bicycle website, and it took about 30 days from China all the way to California. Fortunately, the box appears to be in great shape. Let's go see what's inside. Okay. Looks like I got a seat. I have a box here. And let's see if I can pull out the whole bicycle. Alright, here's the bicycle. The model I purchased is the gun gray with the Y bar, and I also purchased an additional rear link suspension. The box, and I think at least the pedal should be in here. So inside the box, whoa, a little wrench, a bell, pedals, wow, lock, this is extra. Another wrench, and ooh, even a little multi-tool. Multi-tool looks pretty neat. It has flathead, Phillips, this square tool here. Looks like socket wrenches and some hex heads. Also comes with a spoke wrench here. I'm surprised it also comes with a cable lock, and the cable lock has 2 keys. A generic bell. I have a 10, 12, 13, and 15 millimeter crescent wrench. Here, the pedals. Box came a little damaged. Hope the pedals are okay. Well, I better talk to them. Only came with 1 pedal. Never mind that. The other pedal's actually installed on the bike right here. They definitely protected the contact points, so when this is folded inward, that the wheel here and the frame are all kind of protected. So let's go ahead and take a close look at this bicycle now. Just going to start off with a basic overview of the bicycle and take a close look at some of the components here that come with this Litepro S9 folding bike. There's a Shimano Sora R3000 rear derailleur, appears to be a medium cage. This thing down here helps when it's folded to hold the chain. Comes with a brand new chain. As you can see, I could rub my hands along this and it's very clean. Tires a Schwalbe Kojak, 16 inches by 1 1/4, and inflates 70 to 115 psi. Rear wheel is actually 21 spokes, 14 on the drive side and only 7 on the non-drive side. Hub initially seems to be very sturdy. If I go back and forth, there's no play in the rear hub. It's firm there. Brake is quite unique. The cable comes from the bottom, and it does need adjustment right on install. See how the brakes are a little low on the rim there. At the rear brake, there's this little lever here, but I can't turn it. The other side, I'm not sure what it's for. Speaker set here is an 11 to 32 teeth. There's to be a brand new KMC 9-speed chain. This is folded. This can come out, so you can wheel the bike, and there's no lock. You just push it right back in. Rear, there's a little protector here, so when it's folded and you clip the front fork here, I can show you later, it has a protection. There's also another protection here for when the bike's folded. To the folding mechanism, there's a little lock in here, so you pull this. Right now I can lift it up, it won't go down. However, when I pull that, it unlocks the mechanism and it'll snap back in place. Other view, here is what it looks like from the upper view. Seatpost has 10 numbers of measurement, so you could find your seat position if you like. Come with this Litepro carbon seat post. It's 140 millimeters wide. As you can see, when I push down it is quite soft. A little bit of weight, they do have carbon fiber rails. Seat clamp, just 1 step. You can loosen it all the way and tighten it all the way with 1 pretty tough lever. The crankset is 170 millimeter crank arms with a 53 tooth aluminum chainring, and it's a 1-speed, no front derailleur. And my measurement from here to imaginary there is 130 millimeter BCD bolt center diameter with 5 bolts for the chainring. Front is also a little chain keeper, so when it's folded, the chain won't fly off the chainring too far, and it'll keep it in place. Pedals made by Litepro are also folding. Squeeze it in, lift it up, and it folds like that. And to unfold them, you have to hold it down and click it. There are reflectors on both sides of the pedal, so you don't have to look down to make sure that there's a reflector facing rearward. Threads did not initially come with any grease or lubrication, so I added some and reinstalled the pedal. Feature here looks like the bottom bracket, which is a standard English threading with a 24mm spindle crankset. Find this bottom bracket on high-end bicycle designs still. Front we have a mount for bags, and it came with the bike. This was not an additional purchase. And this is for when the handlebar folds down, it could actually clamp in there. And then we have another one of these brakes where it's a bottom pull. From here we can see that the brakes cabling comes from the bottom. 32 by 349 tire. Looks like there's plenty of tire clearance for a larger front tire. Front wheel is a radial lace with 16 spokes. And the spokes appear to be single butted straight gauge spokes. I was going to put my mic here so you could hear the wheel pitch. So not all of them are in perfect true. On the other side, pitches indicates that each spoke is a different tension. Rear wheel's a little better. Very consistent on this drive side here. I'm running into one of my first inconsistencies, and that's the front hub width. Send Litepro an email beforehand and ask them what the spacing is, and they said it was the 100mm front and 130mm rear spacing, which is a standard road bike, and that was from Litepro. About 74mm between the front dropouts. Rear wheel, this is a quick release hub. It kind of interferes with this derailleur hanger here. Also on the rear brake here, there is no quick release to loosen the brake calipers, so you have to let the air out of the tires. The rear wheel off, you can confirm that it's 130mm rear wheel spacing. Took the rear wheel off, so I might as well keep going and take the tire off and take a look at the rim. Taking the rear tire off, you got to be careful because the whole cassette slid right out of the hub here. This cassette's a Sunshine SZ. And there are 6 pawls on this free hub here. Rim is external 21mm. Rim width is 16mm. It looks like the rim tape's on pretty well. It doesn't look like there's any major imperfections here. And the hole for the tube looks like it's Schrader only. You could use a Presta, but you'd need an adapter to make it work properly. Some online reviewers had complaints about the tube, about it breaking or cracking. Feels to be quite supple, and it doesn't feel to be stiff, and it doesn't look like it's about to crack. Sizing if you want a replacement tube. They shipped the bike with about 38 psi gauge pressure. That rear cassette back on, I had to use a bunch of this little floss and wrap it around the paws and tighten it and push the cassette back in. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the frame and a close look at how well it is in the welds. The welds in the rear seem to be quite nice, and then the welds up front also seem to be very nice as well and very clean. The bottom bracket, this area seems to be thick enough to provide ample and sturdy support. The rear brake holder arch seems to come out quite a bit. The tube here is not that long. Upper here is very firm, not flexible at all. The clamp here, when tightened all the way, is very sturdy. I tried moving it back and forth and it was not budging. Same thing with the front clamp here. After tightening the handlebar, this clamp is very sturdy. I guess we could call this the stem. There is slightly forward set. And looking at the headset, appears to be external headset. Front here, you cannot see inside the headset. There seems to be a little bit of in-frame storage if you could slide something inside here. And the tightening mechanism here is pretty nice. You can put your finger to tighten it in here and spin it tight or loosen after you loosen it. You fold the handlebar downward, it'll go ahead and clamp onto this right here. There's a close look as when you go ahead and clamp on, it'll snap inside here and lock it in place. On drive side here is also a little clamp to help hold the bike or the front end to the rear after you fold it. It is this front rack mount attachment, and this right here pulls this front portion in to release a bag. How does this fold and unfold? So first let's go ahead and loosen this. I can put my hand here, spin it around, loosen that, then I'll loosen the handlebar and undo this. Also, now I have to turn the handlebar to my left. Make sure the cables are out of the way. Clamp it in here. Now as it's turned to the left, now I can fold this inward. From here, lift this, fold that all the way back underneath. You can spin the crankset out of the way so the pedal's in the back, and then go ahead and lift this up and put the bike just like that. If you want to now, you can lower the seat post. And another thing is, after you lower the seat post like this, and if it is a little tight, then you will not be able to unfold the rear wheel. And this clip here and how it clips over to the frame. So you're going to lift up, pull this over, and now it's clipped in. So the front wheel is, or the front part of the bike is clipped onto the frame right there. There's another look right here how it's clamped on right there. So when I pull the bike back, the whole front end here won't swing outward. And now with the seat post lowered, you can see that behind the brake here, it's a little stopper and it butts up against it, so it won't come apart. So here we go. As I pick it up, see the front seat post hits it and the whole bike could stay together. Put the bike back together, first thing you have to do is at least raise the seat post past the clamp here. That way you can raise it up and unclip this portion, swing this out, give this a tug, clamp the front handlebar back in. This one's a little more tricky and it takes a little bit more time. So how does it ride? Well, it's definitely not a 700cc size road bike, and it does ride okay. However, as you can probably tell from looking here, my feet don't get all the way extended on this left side here, and so it's a little bit small, or smaller than I would like it to be. And even on this area here with a little more rough pavement, you can feel every bump because the tires I put to 80 psi, and with the 32C 16s, not too bad. The braking works adequately. You definitely can't compare it to a road bike with full-on disc brakes. Having the one bike gearing with a 53 tooth is equivalent to riding a road bike with 700cc tires with a 31 tooth chainring up front, and with the 1132 cassette in the back, you get almost 1-for-1 gearing if you were on a 700cc road bike. However, a 31 tooth with an 11 in the back, you'd be spinning quite a bit trying to maintain a high speed on a road bike. So I always maintain maybe around 13 to 15 miles an hour, whereas on an equivalent road bike with more power, I might see myself riding between 16, 18, or even 19 miles an hour. When I'm riding here, I don't feel like the bike is moving beneath me in terms of it's not twitchy, it doesn't move really bad side to side. I don't feel like the welds or the pivots where the bike mechanism folds is coming loose. It feels really sturdy underneath. The only one main drawback is the seat post, and there's two things with the seat post that I will get to. So let's go back inside and talk about the seat post. Litepro says that this bicycle could fit someone between 4'7" and 6 feet tall. However, I do not find that to be the case. I am approximately 5 foot 10 inches tall, and I put the seat totally to the very maximum. This might even be beyond the maximum. There's a red line here, and there's the indicator here. So I put it beyond the indicator, and there's a red line for the maximum. At the maximum, from the seat rails to the center of the bottom bracket is 67 centimeters. Typically, I like my bicycles from center bottom bracket to the top 70.5 centimeters. So I added the cushion up here, and it's still too short. The next measurement is from the center of the seat rails to the center of the handlebar here, and that is 66 centimeters, and that's equivalent to a 54 centimeter road bike with a 120 millimeter stem, and that will be holding the tops of the stems and not the bars by the shifters. And the last measurement, if you want to draw your own circle, from the center of the bottom bracket to the center of the handlebar here is 85 centimeters. So for mine, the largest this is 67.5, 66 centimeters from here to here, and then 85 centimeters this direction. This is as low as the seat post goes. However, it is dragging on it'll drag on the ground there, so I'll move it up about an inch or two and then measure the lowest seat post. With just 7 centimeters of clearance, the center of the crankset to the top here is 38 centimeters. However, if you are this short, the reach from the handlebar to the seat may be way too far. With the bottom of the seat post lined up with the crankset here, this is 48 centimeters from center of bottom bracket to the seat rails. First concern with the seat post is take a look at it. When I put some weight on it, it starts flexing quite a bit, and that's not that safe. The next concern with the seat post is that it slips. Now, I also tried carbon assembly paste. I put it inside and it worked for a little bit. However, every time you fold and unfold it, the carbon assembly paste kind of just slid out and dried up, and so you'd have to be using a lot of it. But if you're on vacation, like I took it out on a trip, I ran out of carbon assembly paste, I didn't pack it, and the seat post slipped. It slips as much as about an inch of every hour of riding, so every 15 minutes, that quarter inch, I'd have to go back and tighten it back up again. I put 2 little pieces of black tape inside, duct tape, and hopefully that'll prevent it from slipping too much. If I use any more tape, the seat post won't go in. In hopes of strengthening the seat post, I went ahead and bought another 500 millimeter long carbon fiber rod, and it fits inside the existing seat post just like that. And I'm going to go ahead and use some tape and tape it inside, and this is how long it is when looking from the outside. It is 26 millimeters by 22 millimeters interior diameter and 500 millimeter long. Let's talk about things you should know about this bicycle. Number 1, the order experience. The order experience went quite well. I ordered directly from Litepro website on the 19th of February, and it arrived a month later on the 19th of March. Number 2, for American standards, the brakes were reversed. How it was set up was the right brake was in the front and the left brake was for the rear, so I had to switch the cables around in order to make it so my right hand was for the rear brake. Take a look at the angle of the brake levers right here. I wanted to make it more upwards. However, if you put it higher, it would not work, because as you fold the handlebar down, it'll interfere here. And that's why you see this big indentation here is from the brake lever. Number 3, the handlebar height is fixed at 40 inches or approximately 101 centimeters. That measurements with these Y bars. My inseam without any shoes on is 32 inches from here down to the ground. So the ideal height would probably have an inseam of 30 inches or less to get the proper length for your feet for pedaling. Number 5, keep in mind that this is not a standard front hub. It's a 74 millimeter in the front. The rear is a standard 130 for rim brakes. So if you are going to get another wheels or building up a hub, you have to find a 74 millimeter axle spacing front hub. Number 6, speaking of wheels, the maximum tire size, according to my measurements, is about 42 millimeters wide. However, if you go all the way 42 millimeters wide, it'll bend out a little bit and the front and rear may interfere when folded. I see with these 32 millimeter wide tires, there's no interference between the rear wheel and the front tire here. Number 7, the crank arm length is fixed at 170 millimeters. Number 8, the chainring is 53 teeth, and you can't go any larger because then it'll interfere with this adapter. You're going to need another adapter, and this adapter keeps the tension on the chain when it's folded. Number 9, they advertise this at 8 kilograms, which is 17.6 pounds, but the actual weight, according to my scale, is 9.1 kilograms or 20 pounds complete with the pedals. And the weight limit for this bike is listed at 90 kilograms, and that's the max rider weight plus all of the gear, clothing, water bottles, everything you're going to bring, and that comes out to approximately 198 pounds. Next is the folded dimensions. From here to here is 22 inches, from bottom to top 21 inches, and the depth about 12 inches. Compared to a road bike here, you can see how small this folded bike is when it's folded. With the seat post removed, it's definitely shorter than just the wheel alone of a 700C road bike. Here's a 650B wheel for reference. Number 11, there's an option to put a rear hinge suspension that goes right here that gives you a little bit of travel. Number 12, there are no bottle cage mounts, so you cannot mount your pump or bottle cages on standard bolts. So I did add some bags here for some bottles. Number 13, there is this front head tube mount that's compatible with Brompton like bags. But as ordered, there also is no kickstand. In lieu of a kickstand, you could go ahead and lift this up and put one of these out like that and let it stand there. But if you're on a hill, it could roll away. So be careful. Number 14, the spoke tension is uneven in the front. However, I've ridden this over 100 miles and it seems to be okay so far. Number 15, the inspection of the rims, tires, wheels, and inner tubes seem to be okay. Number 16 and 17, hopefully I fixed the seat post issues. One was that it was slipping. I put some tape on the inside here and hopefully that holds up a little better. And the other problem was that it does flex a lot if you are a heavier rider, and that could be cause for potential a seat post breakage. So I did get another carbon fiber rod and stuck it on the inside and taped it in there. And finally, compared to a 20-inch folding bike, they do look a little similar. However, the wheel size is significantly smaller, being 4 inches in diameter smaller. As you can see, the bicycle is quite a bit smaller, and with a non-adjustable handlebar height, the handlebar is also quite a bit lower than a 20-inch folding bike. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video, and let me know if you have any questions in the comments section below. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.